It doesn't mean it's far away from the rest of the world.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm sure hopefully some more people will join, but it's also the end of the year. So welcome to May 2022. And everybody's closing up their school year, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Shannon said she has a
Home
week.
stretch, 4 days.
Karma just finished yesterday.
Yeah.
So I think
Are you guys
everybody-
done, Armando?
We end next Wednesday.
Okay.
So a few more days, then Memorial Day weekend, then summer school, and then
Yep.
TA. So
Mhm.
good time.
Yay.
Yeah.
So
Gonna
just
be-
a review of the agenda. So everybody hopefully can see it. Welcome. Review any celebrations that we have. Talk a little bit about just what your end of the year processes look like. I think that's important right now that people are closing up their year, getting ready to close up their year. Then just staffing shortage and projections for next school year, what you guys are doing about that. And then just we'll open the floor to anything that anybody wants to talk about for the rest of the meeting. So with that, anybody have any celebrations that they want to share?
So we had a great DPS inspection. Even made the newspaper. So that was exciting. I mean, out here in Bohunks, Florent, we made two newspapers chatted with us. We let's see, 96 buses inspected, 2 locations, and only 6 minor findings. That's it.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, so we were doing the happy dance for sure. That was a big win for us. And so we had that recently, and just we continue on our trek for 1 million accident-free miles. I'm going to knock on some wood because I always jinx that, but back in September, like if I'm looking back reflectively, we had like 7 accidents, mostly minor, but still impact forward motion in yellow school buses. And since December 7th, we're approaching 400,000 miles with nothing. So we're doing much better with that too.
Good.
Those are my celebrations.
Anybody else celebrations? Nobody?
Cake. We should have cake.
Do like cake. So, all right. Well, again, we made it through the school year, and seems like it was very, very long ago. I don't know if you guys feel that way, but August 2021 feels like centuries ago to me. But it's hard to believe that we're almost halfway through the school year or halfway through the calendar year. So that's definitely exciting in its own realm. Just, like Shannon said, you got 5.5 weeks left of summer now, and then right into the school year again. So just
I would agree. It feels, depending on if you're looking at how you're looking, it feels long and fast. It took a long time, but it went by fast. I feel like it's been a bit of a grind, but what? It's already May?
Yeah, it's almost June.
I know.
Anyways, we'll jump right in, I guess. End of the year processes. So anybody want to talk about what their end of the year process looks like? Mainly for, I think probably most of your budget or school business departments have reached out and said you need to start closing POs and making sure that you're in line so that way they can close out their year and then starting to open POs for the next year. Anybody want to just kind of talk about what that process looks like for them and their school district?
Nobody. I will, but I don't want to be like the hog of the talking. So one of the things I think that's the most frustrating for me, and this is now with some experience in a few different districts, is we encumber the money to be used for the said items, and if we don't use it, I always struggle with where does it really go? Because nobody says, Shannon, you have an excess of 140,000 that you didn't use. Where would you like to use it? I understand the buckets of money and the account codes and how they have to be used for intentional types of purchases, but I just want to get better going into this new year about using what we've encumbered, because clearly it doesn't come back to me, to my team. I think it goes into a main fund and gets distributed as needed across the district, which I'm okay with, but that would make me think a little bit differently when I'm planning in the front end.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I could talk to a little bit about that in my past life. What we did last year was money that we had left. We looked at, stocking up on filters. Most of our money was left in the garage. So stocking up on filters and tires and purchase, kind of foreseeing the things that we were going to need it for. So we wanted to kind of preemptively get all of that so that hopefully it would alleviate the stress on our upcoming budget, especially because we were already being asked to reduce our budget by, I think 4% or something like that. So, again, I think it's important to sit there with your fleet guys or whoever, even your supervisors, directors, and say, hey, we have this much money. I prefer to utilize it here wherever we can. That's meaningful versus just letting it go back to the general fund.
True.
By having the district close it out. The money's earmarked, like you said. You've got it. So whether that's cleaning supplies, is that stuff for the maintenance guys, tires. You can't really prepay for fuel, but I think there's other things that you could be very specific with in whatever your needs are. Only you guys are going to know what your needs are specifically, Darla.
Yeah, I'll share that. It's important to look at your 950 account as well, the cash account, because that's a pocket full of gold that most people don't realize that they have. Income from field trips and things like that. So I was able over the last 2 years to save enough to do a pretty sizable upgrade of our camera system with those funds too. So don't forget you have that 950 cash account out there too.
Nice. Darla, so you're getting a new superintendent who I currently have here as my assistant superintendent, Dr. Leckie.
I'm all ears.
He is fantastic. You're going to love him. I'm super sad to lose him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had a few conversations with him and I like his demeanor. I like his ideas. I like his thoughts. And overall first impression was pretty exciting for me. So
he is a super big fan of the yellow school bus. So he will look to you for your knowledge. So I think you're going to really enjoy working with him. If I can help in any way, let me know.
yeah, thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate that. If you have any side notes you want to add, give me a call, okay?
I for sure will. Yeah.
Like some good tips or pointers.
Yeah, like his favorite thing to eat.
Yes, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, he's great. I'm so sad to see him go, but so happy for him.
Yeah, we're pretty excited. We've got a lot of changes coming up here. We've been a district of change for a very, very long time, but it's all about learning and growing. It might be a little exhausting right now because of the year end. I feel like we rolled through the pandemic and I'm getting hit with the aftermath. I mean, I thought, wow, I heard all these stories, horror stories of other districts and how they were struggling. And I'm like, I don't know why we're doing okay. Well, that bit me now because I have retirees going out. I have 4 or 5 on FMLA. I've got my mechanics driving. All my support staff is driving. So we're getting hit pretty hard. So I'm anxious for the topic that we get to of how other districts are doing with that. But the change is good. Change is good.
It is. So one thing we can count on, change.
Yep. So anybody having any budget increases or budget reductions for next year that they're having to plan around that they want to share? Status quo?
I'll just throw in there, not to hog the mic, but I'll just throw in there a couple things. Is number one, with your capital order now, because things are on back order, the prices are going up. It's absolutely insane. So I'm about to go into a meeting this afternoon regarding the budget, saying I'm proud to be the hero of the last couple of years, but I'm going to be the person nobody likes next year because we got to raise some numbers here. I mean, the cost has just gone up twofold on so many things: parts, buses, white fleet, tires,
Services, yeah.
How about fuel, right?
Oh my
Crazy.
gosh.
Crazy.
So
Yeah.
that's something that nobody planned for, and I'm sure that every budget in the state is just completely blown out by probably tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars right now. So that's
Right. So what's the
and-
so some districts have the, the encumbrance of the unknown, right? So that fund for those types of things, but my goodness, it's, I think, far greater than we thought. Even to a point where it's like, okay, could we reduce the number of times we do that? Or could we, like if we do an after school shuttle 5 days a week, can we reduce that to 2 nights a week? Because, it's 160 miles every night kind of thing.
Yep. Anybody, either those that have closed out their year or starting to prep for it, want to talk about their vehicle inventory, kind of how you record your mileage for the 100-day report, your vehicle inventory report that's coming up? Do you want to talk about what drivers are required to do in order to, submit mileage at the end of the school year, or do you go out and just pull that yourselves? Anybody have any input on that?
I usually go out and just do it on my own, usually the last week of June. And then that way I know that it's done correctly.
Sure.
Right,
Well,
yeah,
so
we
to
go out and
speak.
pull it too, yeah.
Yeah,
The drivers
otherwise,
report it,
you
but we
never-
pull it, yeah.
you just never know what numbers you're gonna get when everybody turns something in.
Yeah,
I sit out front the last day of school, and as they come in, I get on 2 sets of eyes on it. And we write, I log those miles, and then I'm with you the same on June 30th. I walk them all myself. It's good
Yeah.
exercise.
No, I agree. Our process was having drivers, we'd give them a slip of paper. Actually, they had a full sheet of paper and a full checkoff list at the end of the day that their last day had to come in with. So they had to have their buses inspected by an administrator or supervisor before they were allowed to leave. So that way we made sure the buses were clean and trash was emptied, fueled up, and ready to go. So,
Right.
nobody.
And that was sorry, Jason, to interrupt, but that was a lot of fun for me. Something I hadn't done so thoroughly before, to just have that minute, right? How quickly or how often we don't have that time with no deadline to just chat with people and really just hear a little bit about what's happening or what their summer plans are or whatever, and still just wrap up their checkout process. So I did like that a lot. We're gonna start doing it more like that here because of that experience.
right.
Yeah, it just holds a little bit more accountability of making sure that everybody did what they're supposed to do before checking out for the summer, right? And especially if you're rotating buses through your fleet, nobody likes getting a dirty bus when they come back from the summer. So I definitely, I don't know, that probably segues in. Does anybody have like a summer cleaning crew that stays on staff and through the summer and helps like deep clean? Drivers do a good job, but then, people that actually pull them up and, scrub out the railings and the floors and just kind of really go through all the air conditioning units, or do you leave that up to mechanics to do?
We do that deep cleaning. We have a supplemental hours we put in for a cleaning crew and summer bus drivers, and the cleaning crew details those buses pretty good, and we try to get them done before DPS comes to inspect. But this year they're coming on the 23rd, so.
Karma, do you see a lot of people that want to do that, or do you struggle to get people to do
No,
it?
we get, actually, the cleaning crew works the longest in the summer and has the most hours every day. So that's a pretty cherry spot that they try to pick. And we typically have 16 to 18 that will sign up for that.
Wow.
How many
after
hours
that.
do they get? How many, like,
They start at 5:30 in the morning and they work till 10:30. So that's 5 hours a day, 4 days a week, for as long as it takes. So it's usually
Till
all
the
the way
fleet's
through
done.
June into July. Yeah.
What about, do you have that, Armando?
We haven't had a cleaning crew the past couple of years, but we're gonna do one this year, and they're gonna start in July because we're doing a pretty big summer program. Our
Right.
district got chosen for 3 sites by the governor's summer camp thing. So we've got that going on, and then our regular summer school, and then some other stuff that we usually do. And that's all until the end of June. And I told the drivers, is, you know what? We're not gonna do cleaning in June because then it's like they start on a bus and then the driver comes up and says, well, I'm supposed to take this bus, and then the buses get dirty again. And so I told them, we'll just wait till July, get them all cleaned up, and then that way we hope that they don't get filthy like during summer school. I only had 6 drivers sign up to even work during the summer. So, it's like the pandemic is really, for us, has really made people lazy and nobody wants to work. And
It's definitely changed things.
so whoever's working, like I told Ryan, I said, whoever's working, if they want to do 8 hours a day, we're only going to do Monday through Thursday anyway. They said, we're going to give it to them. I mean, we got other stuff going on. After June 30th, I'm only going to have 1 mechanic. And it's like, we're going to go in and clean out the garage and get rid of all the old stuff that we don't even have vehicles for anymore, and start changing things in there. And it's like, there's a lot of work to be done this summer. So anybody that wants to work, they can come in and work and make some money. So.
Will you hire me?
What's that?
So will you hire me?
Yeah, come on in.
So do you have, so for me, my drivers have an FTE of 187 days. So 180 student days and 7 days for training or refresh or whatever the other 7 days I use for. So do they work off of a different par for the cleaning crew, or do you
Yes.
just add days to their, it's a different one?
Yeah, it's a
Our
different par,
bus
yeah.
drivers are 203 days for a
Wow.
regular school year, which goes next year. It's August 2nd until May 26th.
Huh.
And part of that is because we get paid for the 2 weeks at Christmas time too. So
Oh,
that
okay.
adds in that 203 days.
Oh, nice.
But then anything after May 26th is all extra work until we start school again in August or whatever.
We have a
So,
196-day calendar for our drivers. There 180 days of school and 10 paid holidays and 6 days for in-service. So anything
Well,
else?
maybe
is
mine's
supplemental.
197.
Yeah.
I think the paid holidays are in there too. So what I'm trying to do, and this is not on the agenda, Jason, but what I'm trying to get creative with is adding days to my work agreement to use for attendance incentives quarterly, right? So I know it has to be encumbered and budgeted for if it's not going to be a gift of funds and things like that. But I think how powerful it would be to be able to add days. If you don't miss any days during this quarter, you can use whatever, 2, 3, 4 of those days over break to be paid. I don't know. I'm trying to get creative with some attendance incentives because that seems to be my biggest hit. I have staffing now, but so many people not coming in.
Right.
Shannon, when you do that, would you mind sharing how you write that up?
Sure, happy to. Yeah, I'm actually, my first revision of that is going this afternoon to my leadership. So it'll be sooner than later because I wanted to go to the board in June. So.
Very cool. Anybody else want to talk to their, I guess, just summer work process or summer process, end of the year process before we move on to the next topic?
Well, our end of the year process is just making sure everybody comes to work. I only have 18 bus drivers now. So
Oh.
we are at a premium. The shortage finally hit us after many years of always being 100%. And of course, I have people that are planning on leaving. So everybody has decided they want to use all their PTO days and everything. And,
Yeah.
you know, we call HR wanting to know, can we write them up? You know, it's like excessive. Oh, no, we give it to them. They can take it. And I said, yeah, but we need them.
Right.
You know, they need
So
to-
that's one of the things I struggled with too. And
Yeah.
it's, if there's processes and policy to enforce, right, good things for kids, which is the same driver every day that knows how to do it safely, then
Yeah.
you have to support me when I'm ready to take action based on HR
Right.
policy. And so that's powerful to have that support, because I know that everybody doesn't have it. So
Yeah, it's crazy. And, you know, Ryan and I are going crazy. You know, we go wild every morning trying to figure out how we're going to combine routes and do all this stuff. And I mean, the staff has done really well in doing it. We have no kids to begin with. So, I mean, we can double up and triple up on buses and still not be full. I mean, we're down to 4,700 students now. So, and it's like, okay, so everybody's done really well in doing that part, but then they also get tired of the same people being off every day.
exactly, it's a morale. It hurts your culture. The
Yeah.
morale goes,
Yeah.
why do
Yep.
we always have to cover them?
Right.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's basically the next 3 days. We just hope, you know, everybody, and then on top of it, you know, you got graduations and promotions and everything else that everybody has to take, the life experiences that everybody takes off for. So, you know, that puts you kind of short too. So,
Yep.
but we manage. We're good.
Yes,
I still
creative
haven't-
solutions, that's the name of our game.
I still have not had to drive this year, so.
Oh, look at you
Everybody
being
else
all
has.
sassy.
All right. Well, we'll transition into probably the hot topic that continues to plague everybody. Staffing projections for next year. I know that several districts that I've been out to recently are all, you know, a lot of people are retiring, moving, leaving the industry altogether. So anybody want to talk to just the challenges that you're seeing right now, and then maybe what you guys are, if you have a plan to either advertise or you know, have some job fairs through the summer or anything like that to try and entice people to come and get trained and be ready for August.
So I think that with the pay change, I'm in a better shape with CDL bus drivers than I have been probably
Me too.
all year. I mean, I have interest, I have training classes ready to go for summer, and I think we'll be okay as long as I don't lose more than I expect to lose, which normally it's usually 10% of unexpected resignations is what I try to like equip myself for. But monitors, I'm having a really hard time getting
me
or keeping
too.
monitors.
Me too.
So trying to figure out a way to get creative to where either they are equipped to do either drive a van or be a monitor for a blended pay for a tiny bit more money, or kind of working with schools for their ESS paraprofessionals in the classroom to either help morning or afternoon on the bus, a little bit of extra money and a little bit of relief for us. I'm not really sure, but I'm definitely down monitors.
If you get that to go through, Shannon, with the classroom aides, helping out on buses, I would like to know how you did that.
I'll do my best. I can't imagine if I don't pay for it out of my budget and they don't clock in with a different funding code, it would be that big of a deal, right? But we'll
Right.
see. I'm just gonna, I mean, just the safety for evacuation alone, it just makes me nervous, even if I don't have wheelchairs on board, right? I have a lot of EDP programming in my district, and right now I'm contracting out a lot of that, but
I think the big challenge, you know, the challenge is people wanting to actually do the work, right? And I think that those decisions, Karma, need to, you know, it needs to be presented, but then it needs to be almost you know, you're being voluntold to do this. So
Right.
like you don't have a choice. Whether you can limit the impact for the person doing it to say, hey, you're just going to run through this route for this school and we'll bring you back type of thing, whether that's morning or afternoon, potentially, right? If by chance you find somebody that's like, hey, I love this, I get extra money, even if there's opportunities for overtime and transportation's paying for it, you have the vacancy savings to do it because you're not able to staff them on your own.
Right.
But, it's one of those things. Honestly, I think from right now, what we're seeing is that this is where district leadership needs to step in and say, look, you don't get a choice here. We're going to change your position or make this a requirement for you to do, because you're right. It is unsafe. You can't have a bus driver being responsible for 10
Right.
special needs kids all by themselves, right?
And
Especially when wheelchairs or ambulatory, non-ambulatory are involved. There
Right.
has to be something that we're all a team. We're all under the same umbrella working for a school. We're not school versus transportation.
Right.
People need to come to the table and have some sort of idea on how to fix it. It doesn't
Right.
help that most IAs or bus monitors, aides, or whatever you want to call them, are being paid minimum wage, right? $12 or whatever the
Right.
minimum wage is right now. So
Right.
again, competing with the private marketplace of $15 an hour to go work at McDonald's and flip burgers. Why would anybody want
For
to
no
work?
responsibility, yeah. That's
Right.
responsibility
And they don't have to split
Yeah.
their shift.
Right.
Yeah.
Because people love that or they hate it.
Yeah.
I keep saying, if we could figure out a way to do a double workforce, early and late,
Yeah.
we would resolve things, because how often is it that they can't come in AM or PM, but sometimes it's not both.
One of the things that we did, and I don't think Armando does it anymore, but when I was there at Phoenix L, when monitors when the I don't even remember what it was. Was it the Affordable Care Act that required up to 30 hours for full time? So
Uh-huh.
all of our bus monitors got bumped down to like 27 and a half hours, so the district didn't have to pay them insurance. But what we ended up doing was expanding our FTE. So we had an AM bus monitor and a PM bus monitor. And what was helpful with that is that we were able to, essentially, if somebody needed the afternoon off, then they could body swap basically with somebody and say, hey, can you cover my shift? Or I'll, swap with me. I'll do your
I
morning,
like it.
you do my afternoon. Or just offering additional hours for for somebody who wants to say, hey, I'll work through the full day and do a morning all the way to the afternoon. I think that's honestly what's missing here in transportation altogether, right? To have an AM shift and a PM shift and allow drivers to work straight through, but there is no budgets in school districts for and nobody wants to be a bus driver. So, right, we can't just go from needing 80 drivers all of a sudden to having 160 drivers and having 80 AM drivers and 80 PM drivers.
Right.
But I think when you're talking about scheduling and the ability to overlap people or say, hey, can you cover my shift? Or, hey, can I cover for you? And so on and so forth, maybe that would be, a better potential opportunity. I would say
agree.
monitors at that level, because their labor is so much less expensive than a bus driver. Potentially you can say, hey, we want to increase our FTE, maybe hire more people and create an AM and a PM shift type thing to where you can have a little bit more flexibility and not so much middle gap day, right?
Yeah.
We were doing that, Jason, still up until the pandemic began. And then
Excuse me.
now that we came back, I mean, I'm budgeted for 20 bus attendants, and I've been doing this whole year with like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So we ended up having to double shift the attendants. And of course, we still get yelled at by the business office, they're working more than 30 hours. You can't do that. We're going to get fined, blah, blah. But, what are we going to do? I said, okay, send me over people from district office then to be bus attendants in the afternoon. Oh, we can't do that. Well, then let me use my people, and that's how it's going to be. But yeah, it does work pretty good when you're fully staffed and you can do AM or PM people, and it works really well.
I've got bus drivers at bus driver pay going out and covering bus aid absences or
Right.
shortage. And that's tough, but we have, most of our special needs routes have 3, instead of AM and PM, there's an AM and a midday and a PM. So some of the aides on their own have been willing to swap. So can you cover my midday and I'll do your PM tomorrow? And
Yeah.
And they come and ask me, hey, is it okay if we do? You bet. If it means nobody's gonna take a day off, you bet.
Right.
So.
Yeah, you want to encourage that creativity, right?
Yeah.
Because if
Exactly.
they can, and it empowers them, right, to see it through a different lens. I sat with on a podcast a few days ago with some directors from around the United States about those type of things, and like, what do you do to empower people to just think like you have to think sometimes?
Yeah.
And one gentleman from Ohio was saying that they do a role reversal one Thursday a month because that's their light day for extra things. So like whatever, I would go in the garage and the mechanic would sit in my chair and dispatch would, they would flip flop a little bit just to get a taste of what it's like. So I think there's some power in that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I definitely agree. I think the big takeaway is just really the communication back to the district office and letting them know, like, hey, we have a situation and it's important that you hear what I have to say. This isn't just something that you want to say, oh yeah, it'll be fine, because I think the more that we can get out ahead of it now versus, July 15th is going to be, a little bit more, at least to communicate to the families and the schools and say, hey, we have something that's an issue here and you need to be aware of it so that you can make arrangements if you want to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I know that we had, I've only had one bus driver who's retired and won't be back next year, and one bus aide. Because the district gave them, if they stay employed through August 30th, so they had to sign their contracts for next year on a deadline and stay employed through the end of August, then they gave them a retention stipend of 4% of their base salary for this school year. So I'm seeing a lot less. I think that helped. I only had one retiree and one bus aide who won't be back because he's moving out of state, and everybody else signed their contracts on time and planning on being here July 27th. So that worked for us real well. We have, let me look, 3, 4, 5, 6 right now coming into training over the summer. New
Nice.
bus drivers.
So I will share a scary story with you. It's kind of exciting, but a little scary. We are transitioning to a 4-day. And yeah, so when they announced it and they did the surveys, they had indicated that it's not going to affect your paycheck.
Nice. Who wouldn't go
We're
for
not
that,
done yet.
right?
We're not done yet.
Yeah.
So I went to a couple meetings and I'm thinking it's not going to affect the paycheck that people work off of. But nevertheless, the calculations are a little different when you go to when you talk to an accountant and a payroll person. So nevertheless, that being said, I'm optimistic that it's going to be absolutely fair, but still it's unclear as to what those numbers are going to be until June, when all my staff is already gone, other than, the summer school staff. So
Is your school year, I mean, obviously your school day is lengthening because you're eliminating the Friday or the Monday, whichever it is. But that doesn't really mean your routes are longer. So what does that look like?
So that was the concern. So when this started, I was part of the committee, and people don't realize that if you're working in other departments, you can make up that time, but here you can't. We can't. And I had to say it this way: we can't take them to school and then go, never mind, don't get off. We're going to go back around your house one more time and come back. So they definitely had all staff in mind and students when this decision was made, and it was pitched and proposed, and there was a huge process and a lot of people involved. And honestly, I'm very excited about it, even though I know I'll still work Fridays. I'm not going to have drivers here. So can you imagine that? And but I am a little nervous as to, how that wage is going to work out. So the idea was that their wage would be increased so that even though they would lose those hours, it wouldn't affect their paychecks.
Nice.
But when you look at it on an annual, so now it's the annual, it won't affect their annual, but the annual does affect. So we'll see. It's going to be real interesting. I trust our leaders. I trust the people that are making these decisions. They definitely had us all involved in it. And I had a very loud voice in it, an advocate for my team to make sure that they were clear as to, you know, how it affects, because a lot of people don't understand transportation. So
Mm-mm.
it's very exciting, but it's very scary for me that when they get those statement of wages, how many are going to call and go,
Well, you know, the other thing is you could send them our way to drive on Fridays.
I've already had that thrown out there, and I'm like, so then when they're over there and you make the grass look really green and I lose them all the.
But I mean,
Honestly-
the beauty in that is if they don't feel like driving on a Friday, they don't have to, right? That's how you have to sell it, right? Like the 3-day weekend component. That's good. That's exciting. You'll have to keep us posted.
Honestly,
Yeah, it is.
what the district should do is they should outsource drivers, all your staff on Fridays to everybody, basically create like a private Casa Grande, whatever you want to call it, and then have all those drivers still
Right.
working on Friday, but
Be
they're
like an
bringing money back to the
IGA.
district, whether that's field trips or sports or, you know, preschool runs or anything like that. Like, you already have the staff, they want to work. So
Could be
why not
profitable.
have an opportunity to bring money back to the district, right? We kind of talked about that, floated that idea during COVID, was like, hey, instead of having all these drivers working at schools, right? There were schools out in the East Valley that were in session that were needing drivers. We could have easily took half of our staff and run them over to one of the neighboring districts and just have an IGA where they're paying us for a service. So
For
you
a
become
service.
Casa
I am
Grande
so
Transportation
glad
Service
I
or
am
something
so
like
glad
that.
I brought this up. That's an amazing idea, because
Yeah.
I'm not a real big fan of them being hired by other districts, but
No,
so
of
how
course
does that work insurance wise?
Well,
Well-
you're still covered because you're doing the work through the what's it called, through, you know, for the
Through
district,
the IGA, yeah.
right? But in the IGA also have it written as saying, you know, you're a memorandum of understanding that they're not going to poach your drivers, right? So, hey, my drivers aren't going to come over here and drive for you on Fridays. And then 6 weeks later, I'm losing 10 people to you because you've, you know, secretly offered them more money or whatever. But,
Mhm.
you know, it's just an opportunity to keep them busy, but also have money, you know, generating revenue for the district to come back to them. So
I'm going to
there's that.
sound really ignorant right now, but I got to ask, what is an IGA?
Intergovernmental agreement.
Enter what?
Intergovernmental agreement. So it's two government agencies that are agreeing to do work with each other.
Right.
Thank you. That is a
Yeah, no.
fantastic idea.
I mean, your drivers, you know, even if you have like, you know, how many drivers do you have right now?
65.
So even if you had 30 that wanted to work, right, that's still income that's coming back to the district, potential, you know, revenue coming back to the district. So, and I'm sure there's several districts around you that probably aren't that far to get to. You know, I can think of a couple that are probably specifically short on Fridays, right? Because people want to extend a weekend or whatnot. So if you have drivers available that go over and cover their routes, you know, something like that, I think there's more of that type of language that needs to happen in general in transportation, right? I've used this example before. The trust is a pool. You know, it's districts pooling their money to provide insurance. Why aren't we pooling our resources of transportation or maintenance and grounds and things of that nature to help each other rather than poaching drivers from each other, right? If we
Right,
start
with
to figure out
rotations and creative
our
schedules.
schedules work with each other, maybe I have drivers available. I know one district that's in here right now that has probably over half of their drivers missing that could utilize help from other people. And if their bells align, or hey, even if it's I have a driver that can go in and do one route for you that has 3 or 4 stops. I can get a driver in there, pick up those kids and get them to where they need to go without making it a huge inconvenience to me. Why wouldn't we want to have those conversations with each other, right? But
Right.
we need to start talking about that and start sharing resources instead of saying, hey, I'm fully staffed in the room. Sucks to be the rest of you because you guys can't figure it out. You know what I mean? Those are the types of things that we need to do to start helping each other.
Right. We have 2 drivers right now on IGA to Natterburg School District, help them transport their high school students. So it works. It
Yeah,
works.
we've done it before with Higley in their trips. They needed trip drivers during our breaks.
Yeah,
And we didn't have a lot of things happening, so we were able to help them with some of their trips.
awesome.
All right, anybody offering stipends or bonuses? I just want to touch on that for the upcoming school year.
Just an ongoing stipend for CDL school bus of $2, which is really part of our salary, but
But no campaigns for the upcoming year. That's,
All of our support staff got 6% raises.
wow, good for them.
I know. I didn't get
Alright.
that, but they got that.
We definitely, everybody got $1 and we brought
Yeah.
all of our minimums up to 15.
Nice.
up to what?
15.
15.
Nice,
Very
very
nice.
nice.
On June 9th board meeting, they're supposed to vote to put our minimum at 14. And then the hourly people will all get $1.76 across the board.
Very
uh,
nice.
Increase. And then supposedly the administrators, we weren't getting anything, but now they're saying they're gonna give us $1,500. But
Oh,
that's about.
we don't get
about
that. We
it.
get 1%.
Yeah. Our board doesn't believe we do anything, and we should,
Right.
we shouldn't be
right.
getting anything, and the money should be going to the hourly people who do all the work.
We do all the work, yeah.
And then our teachers got cut $10,000, so.
Yeah.
That's been on the news.
Did you see, is Mesa just increased their teacher salaries by like $5,000 or something like that? So they're gonna be a minimum 50,000 a year? Wow.
We have 63 teachers who have resigned so far.
Wow.
Of course, we have no kids, so I mean, it's good, but yet they won't close any schools, so,
Crazy.
yeah.
All right, well, we got about 10 minutes left, so we'll just open the floor. Does anybody have anything they just want to talk about that is not related to the agenda?
I don't think so. Just ready for
I-
summer.
I do. In our last meeting, I think this is where I don't know where I came up with this, but somebody said something and I heard it and I thought it's a great idea, so I'm going to implement it. Do any of you have a good confidential agreement that you use that I can look at to see if I have covered everything I want to in mine in regards to having a staff member assigned to watch videos or work with referrals?
So I always just revert back to the, it's in the G section of the board policy. I'll send it to you. So I'll tell you something I learned recently. So I've never in my 20 years allowed a parent to watch footage because of the Federal Privacy Act that would be violated based on the other students that parent may see. And usually it's like, well, I don't love that, but I get it. So I had someone really pressing to watch footage. Anyway, long story short, pushed it out to our attorney. They said, did you save the footage or did you just view it and document what you saw? Well, we saved it, right? Because we had to go back and watch over and over and over. Once you download it, it becomes public record available for viewing for the parent that asks as long as their child is on the bus. Now, once their student gets off or before they get on, they can't watch the footage. But I learned from our legal counsel that once you save it to a hard drive or to a server or whatever, and you have it saved, they can come back and ask to watch it. If you don't save it, if you view it, you put it back in your bus and it goes on and you've documented it accordingly, then it is not public record to be viewed.
You have to be careful what you download. We
Right.
have, the district here, they have a public records request that they have to make to view any video, and it comes from the records department. They have to go watch it with the principal, or we've had one parent come here a couple years ago to watch video. But yeah. So before
I
the
just-
video tech downloads it, I look at it and I see if it needs to be saved or not, and if not, it goes back on the bus, and if we do need to save it, then we download it on a hard drive.
Right.
It's exactly that reason, yeah.
Save as little as
As
possible.
little as possible, yeah.
I learned. This is my aha moment for the school year.
Mhm. Principals want a lot of videos saved, but then they have to deal with the parent and getting the public records request, and not me. So that's okay.
All right, you
Any
guys.
any other comments or things anybody wants to talk about?
Hey, Jason, I just want to throw it out there here in Scottsdale. We have a training specialist position open. If anybody has a trainer that's looking to move up into a lead, we have that open, just vacated.
Nice. Did Jack fill your role?
Yes, sir, he did.
Good for him. Good for him.
Yep, good fit.
Good.
Good.
Right on. Yeah. Shoot me if you want. Shoot me an email and we'll get it posted up on the TA webpage and Facebook also for you.
Sounds good.
All right. I guess with that, we'll just wrap it up and send everybody on their way. Hopefully, we'll see everybody next week, or not next week, next month in
I'm like, I
June.
need more time.
I'm ready now. Let's go. Let's
Oh,
go.
yeah, need a vacation, yeah.
But
Like,
hopefully, we'll
yeah,
see
that'll
everybody
be-
next month, and we'll get some good conversations going. So safe
Right.
travels to everybody. Hope you have a wonderful end of the school year for those that are wrapping it up, and we'll probably reconvene these probably starting in August. So
Nice.
kudos to everybody for making it through another year.
Hi, guys. Happy
Thank you,
weekend.
everybody.
Happy
I picked up
weekend.
some good things today. Thank you.
Bye. Yep,
Good deal.
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.